Still the kings of the hill until somebody knocks them off. Who does Stephen A. think is the biggest threat to do that? Okay, so Stephen A., you have the Cavs, then the Thunder, followed by the Lakers, Nuggets, and Mavericks. Gail, I'll start with you. Are the Cavs the biggest threat to the Celtics?
No, not at all. I mean...
Not at all?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Very great regular season team. Last year, same group of guys. I don't even think they won a road game. All their games.
They lost to the Knicks. Yep.
So I don't think they're ready yet to knock off the Boston Celtics. Right. So the only team that's really built for it, that has something that Boston will be hurt by if they're shooting a whole bunch of threes, is Giannis. The fact that Giannis plays old-style basketball where he's trying to get to the free throw line and he's making layups. Boston Celtics team go 10 for 51 or those 12s for 62, that would be devastating for them. So he's the only one that can capitalize on those bad shooting nights that Boston will have. And usually it's about, if there's 7 games, they're going to have at least 3 horrible nights. They're going to have 2 great ones and then an average one. And I think if they try that if that's a matchup, I think the Bucks can upset them.
That's a very good way to look at it, because I often think when you try to evaluate playoff series, you consider margin for error. What level can a team get away from? Can a team win a series playing 2 C-plus games? The Warriors always could. That's why you couldn't beat them. The Cavs, I'm not sure about, and I'm not afraid to say I'm not sure. So this game tonight, I think, is really compelling for a regular season game. The Cavs have won 12 out of 13. Since DeAndre Hunter got there, their average margin of victory is 23 points. The team that they lost to in that stretch was Boston at home. And I'm not going to put everything onto tonight, but I think the Cavs have to play well tonight to demonstrate that. They are a great regular season team. I think they can be a great playoff team, but you're right, they have to prove it. I'm not sure.
I'm not saying they don't have to prove it. I'm saying, looking at what we're seeing right now, you could easily surmise that they're the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics. I completely disagree with you, Gil. And here's the reason why. First of all, they lost to Boston last year, the Knicks the year before, so my apologies about that. But here's the deal. I'm looking, first of all, I believe in Donovan Mitchell. I just do. The brother's a stud, and I think he's going to show up. Kenny Atkinson has figured out something in terms of Mobley and how he's elevated his level of play. Darius Garland is having a better season than he did last year. Allen is available now. Wasn't so much last year. So I'm looking at those cats: rebounding, athleticism, shot blocking capability, overall defensive prowess, a stud on offense in the Donovan Mitchell, cats that can help him in Garland and Mobley. Then you go out and you get a 6'8" dude in Hunter who can both defend on the perimeter and shoot threes. And I think that when you look at Cleveland, it's not an accident that they're the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the way that they've been playing. One of my favorite, if not my favorite game of the year, was when they played against OKC in Cleveland. I thought that was a spectacular game. And if that was a finals preview, the only thing that I would hate about that is me having to travel back and forth between those 2 cities, because that would be a damn nightmare. But outside of that, once I got there to watch these brothers play against one another, I think it would be something special to behold. I'm looking at Cleveland right now. Yes, they have to prove it. But I think they have the personnel to do it. I'm not saying that I would favor them to beat Boston, because Boston is a champion in their experience. But I do unquestionably believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers are the #1 threat to the Boston Celtics.
4-2. And if that's the threat, then...
4-2?
4-2. And that's a threat Boston has.
Well, let me ask you, do you have anybody beating Boston?
I think the Bucks. If Bucks can match up with them.
Milwaukee Bucks. So you think the Milwaukee Bucks are a greater threat to Boston than Cleveland?
Yeah, they have a Giannis. They have this guy named Giannis down there who only loves layups and free throws. So when you're Donovan Mitchell, you want to shoot a bunch of threes?
I got some things to handle business-wise. But as soon as it is, I'm coming on your damn podcast. We're going to have this argument on that podcast. Okay. I can't believe what you just said on national television. Yeah. Milwaukee over Cleveland?
Yeah.
Hey, Gilbert's the first person to say it. They did beat Denver last night. We'll leave it there, guys. When we come back,
that means now he is suspended for his next game because he hit the limit, which is tonight against the Jazz. And for every 2 after this, that doubles up. So maybe some words of wisdom for the young man here.
It's time to sit back, young fella. Time to fall back a little bit.
Also, it's an offensive foul. It's not even a good argument. It's just sorry, keep going.
Go. Sorry.
But yeah, it's time to sit back. It's time to sit back, fall back a little bit. You know, Put a filter on it. You don't want this to become, a long-term issue. The refs are sensitive. I can go out on the limb and say that. They're sensitive. They hold grudges. And you just don't want to become a victim, of that. So, it's time to take it back a little bit. Let's lock in more on, the actual game, and let's talk. We all love you for your charisma, your character, everything you bring to the game. We love you for it, but you don't want this to become a distraction and also have an asterisk next to your name, because they will use it against you.
Yeah, and think about this. He's got to control his emotions, because the most important thing is to him to be on the floor. And if you look at the standings right now, they're half game out of the 6th seed, which they could avoid the play-in. So as awful as this season's gone for them, it hasn't gone their way. It's a much bigger issue if Anthony Edwards isn't on the floor for this team than the standing this season. They need him. They have zero shot without him.
You have no Randall and Gobert. Like
you already are banged up with Randall. You just got Dante back last night. So this team's already going through a bunch of, change and switches and injuries. You have to show that growth, show that maturity and leadership where you can control your emotions and you can be on the floor when you're floating. Because this is make or break right now. They could either get in the play-in and they could lose to the Warriors and the Mavs and be out and not even make the playoffs, or they could jump up to possibly the 4 or 5 seed. This is a critical part of the season for them, and they obviously need Anthony Edwards for that.
I know there are levels to things. There's a moment where a ball goes flying, and let's look at this, because I'm wondering what do you think that was a perfect throw to nowhere. I kind of love that.
Was that Mav Carter, too, right there?
What kind of fine are we thinking here, Lou? Let's guess.
That's probably a 100-piece chicken nugget right there.
Up.
Look, that's Mav.
Yeah,
that's Mav with the hat on right there.
Because once that's considered involving a fan. That's
but he threw it at an empty seat.
The NBA doesn't see it like that, and
they see what if it hit someone and broke their nose.
Absolutely. Yeah, the NBA doesn't see it, so that's at least a 100-piece. But to piggyback off of what Boogie said.
Wait, does everyone think 100?
Absolutely.
I think
I threw a towel into the stands.
And that was 100?
Pat Beverly's getting sued still for throwing up something into the stands like 2 years ago.
Fair enough. Damn, I sound correct. What were you going to say, Charles?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Boogie said, man, we got to reel it in a little bit. You're young, you're still establishing yourself, and Boogie can attest to this, man. You can get typecast in this league. It's a very short window where people start to consider you a bad boy or a rebel or any of these things. That's going to be a completely different conversation than being the face of the league when you start adding these things up. Like a Rasheed Wallace. As talented as Rasheed Wallace is, every time somebody wants to mention Rasheed Wallace, you want to talk about the antics. Like, he's one of the best players ever. Boogie Cousins, they all mention these things. Draymond Green, they always mention these things no matter what level of greatness that you have, right? And so you being so young, 22 years old, man, don't get into a situation where we're having a conversation one day about you being the face of the league, and then the next day it's a completely different conversation on the other end of the spectrum when you have the opportunity to have the whole league in the palm of your hands, man. Yeah. Just be careful with these type of things.
And it's all self-inflicted. It's all things that he can control. Obviously, we're all competitive. We're all natural athletes. We want to win. We want to compete at the highest level. But at a certain point, you have to reel it in, because now if you're putting your team's success in jeopardy and your career and your reputation, that's when it starts getting dicey. It's like we always talk about who's the next face, that he doesn't want it. He is. He's one of so things like this don't give anyone any reason to take that away from you, because that is a huge honor to have.
I'm glad you said that, too, because we did talk about the fact that Ant's on the record now, I don't want to be the face of the league. Well, LeBron talked a little bit about that statement after the game.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but, I don't know. Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody? I mean, that responsibility, it's just weird. It's weird energy.
Draymond.
What I do like about 40-year-old LeBron is he's starting to be more honest when the camera's in front of him. He doesn't have to be as PC